Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is the final of the 2025 OVKA karting season. This is the final of race 3. This is a Sunday afternoon. This is the LO206 class also, by the way. I generally race LO206 Legends, but on this particular day I was racing 2 classes, Senior and Legends. So this kart here with myself in it, the minimum weight is 265 pounds, where my Legends kart, the minimum weight of the kart must be 200. It's 390 and then 365. 365 for this class right here. So this kart's a lot lighter than how I normally run it. I usually would run this in the Legends class with the extra weight on it. Now coming around for this start, we did not start on the first lap out. And I will admit to being relatively sloppy on this start. I'd left way too big of a gap right here. Now, it will pan out because I'm able to move up right now, and they threw the green. I didn't know they were going to throw it for sure, but I didn't really lose any position. Nobody ducked in front of me, and I caught right back up to the 54 and got a halfway decent run up the inside. That one guy kind of followed with the 360 cam. He got stuck out in the grass, which happens from time to time, and as you see, he lost a lot of positions, and it took him a while to get back in on the kart. Now, I'll apologize, I do not know why this camera, I think it does a big old, just a 360 loop here in just a second, which was not what I thought I had it set up to do. Hey, there we go. For whatever reason, it did that. Now, coming into that corner, I definitely got a little looser than I thought, and the 59 was able to make a clean pass on my inside. I'd lowered my tire pressures a little bit because this was a 14-lap race, where the previous race, the pre-final, was only 10. This is 14, and I think I might have gone a little bit too low because the kart was super greasy feeling on the back for the first 2 or 3 laps. Now, it did come out, it came in pretty well where it didn't feel bad at all afterwards. Once I got about 2 or 3 laps and some heat into the tires, I didn't have a ton of issues on the grip. But for these first 2 or 3 laps, I was getting somewhat frustrated with my grip because I was really, kind of getting sloppy out there with it. I think I've already said the word sloppy. I need to think of a synonym for sloppy as I move forward. But the 99, he's sticking to me right here. There's a little bit of a gap in front of me, so I chose to, point out the back. Or I chose the rear-facing view because there was a little bit more action than what was in front of me. The 11 who started right next to me, that was her sitting in the grass back there. I don't know if she dropped the chain. I didn't get to talk to her after the race was over, but she just drove straight off the track. Now, these karts spun, and I don't know how the 99 got so wide and ended up spinning out, because in front of me, the 54 and I think another kart both spun into that corner. I believe I am probably driving around in about 13th or 12th place at this time. Again, there were 33 karts in this race. I started 16th, which was how I finished the pre-final, and that's how I started the pre-final. So, but there has been a little bit of attrition. We had the 2 karts that spun out. We had the 11 that drove off in the grass up there. We had the 1 guy after the first corner who got stuck out in the grass. So that's 4 people, so I'm up to I think 12. I did get passed by the 59. He's right in front of me. We're going to see him here in a second. 59's he's pretty new. He's being coached by the number 16, who you'll see in my Legends class videos, who basically wins every race he's in. So he's got a good coach, so he's coming along pretty quick on the go-karting. But I talked to him before the race started, the number 59, and he'd done a couple of seasons of, I think, league racing at the indoor full throttle location. So he's not, he's got a good feel for a go-kart, as he's done, you know, a pretty decent amount of indoor karting. Now, granted, it's not the same, but, you know, the karts, I mean, they handle like a go-kart. It's just, you know, they are a little faster, a little more nimble, but, you know, it's still something with 4 wheels. And if you've done a few seasons and you are pretty good at indoor karting, this will be a fairly natural transition. You're still not going to be, you know, generally battling for the win. Once you know, if this is your first foray into the club racing after doing indoor karting, you definitely still have some things to learn, but you're not going to be generally, you know, typically you're not going to be 3 or 4 seconds off the pace for very long. Maybe the first couple of races, but you should adapt relatively quickly. Now, in my pre-final video, there was a comment about me driving passive, and I will definitely admit to driving, I don't want to say necessarily passive, but I'm not being overly aggressive. In this instance, on this particular day, I was racing 2 classes, and this is one of those things where I'm racing the senior class for the fun of it. Most of the people racing the senior class, I mean, they might be racing for the fun of it, but they're still pretty young. And, you know, who knows? A lot of them have aspirations to potentially, you know, maybe this can further their racing career to some sort. So I would say that most of the youngsters in this class are far more serious about finishing better than I am. Because, you know, I'm 57 now. I know I don't have a Formula One or NASCAR future ahead of me. I'm doing this for fun. And when you are racing 2 classes, because on this particular day I was my only, you know, I didn't have anybody really helping me with any of the mechanics or pushing my karts up and down, so I was doing it all pretty much by myself. So one thing I did not want to do was break anything in any of these races, because if I break something, I have very limited time when you're running 2 classes to fix whatever you break. So in the pre-final, I definitely didn't stuff it in places where it would have been a risk of bending or breaking my go-kart. And I also don't want to mess up, like I said, these people, this number 1 right behind me, he is probably trying to score well in the points so that he finishes high in the standings at the end of the year. I'm only going to race about 5 or 6 races in the senior class. I could care less what my points are. But I don't want to go out there and screw up other people's points tallies, I guess. So I'm going to run, I'm going to say medium aggressive. I'm going to go as fast as I can, but I'm not going to take any undue risk, you know, at the expense of potentially crashing and then being stuck having to try to fix something. Now, this was the last race of the day for me right here. My Legends class was up a little, you know, more towards the beginning of the race schedule, where this race was more towards the middle or the end of the day. I had about, I think about 2 or 3 races in between. So I had a little bit of time, but I didn't really have time to really make changes. The only changes I made were during the intermission, and I did that on my Legends kart. I really didn't want to dig in on this kart, the senior kart. And I mentioned it in the pre-final video. I most certainly should have put 1 more tooth on my sprocket on the axle, because I needed a little more pull out of these corners. I'm barely hitting the rev limiter, or usually, but well, in my Legends kart I hit the rev limiter on 3 of the straightaways, I believe. Only hit it in 1 on my senior kart. Now the 1, he really got himself all jumbled up, but he didn't lose too much position going through that bus stop, and he pulls up on me pretty quick right here. But I've got a little gap on him now, and then I think I'm going to pan back to the front to kind of see where the 59 is. So I kind of knew that the 1 was behind me, but sometimes he was there and then sometimes he wasn't. He was able to, if he did drop back a little bit, it seemed like he was able to make the position back up. I don't know why the camera did it on this The software for the 360 cam is pretty decent. It's an Insta360 X4, but sometimes after I export the video, it does a little bit of weird stuff that I didn't really realize it did. And I don't want to really have to do it over again, so basically you get to watch a little bit of weirdness for 10 to 15 seconds. So I'm back trying to close in on the 59. He was being very consistent. If he was making mistakes, they were very small, and I was probably making similar level mistakes, so that it kind of balanced out. I wasn't able to get past him. Right there, I tried to take the low line through the bus stop to see if I could cut off some distance and get close. And it looked like I got it close, but he had a better exit speed out of the bus stop than I had, so he was able to, for the most part, maintain the same gap that he's had on me these last few laps. The next race, race 4, is going to be a night race. I am looking forward to that. It will be on the short track version, so you'll get to see the short track. Now, right here, I really kind of thought, oh, maybe I'll try it again. I tried it in the pre-final on the 11. It didn't work, but I know the 59's a little newer. I didn't know if I kind of cut under like that, if that might make him climb on the brakes. But he didn't. But if he had, it would have possibly given me the opportunity to go in front of him. I have had people that, they'll get nervous that they're going to go too wide through that section, and they will give up that position. So that was the end of the race. I did not catch the 59. He did a great job holding me off. The one stayed tight, stayed close for the whole race, and it was fun driving in between those two dudes. I believe that I think I finished 11th on the scoring, but I think somebody in front of me's transponder fell off, so I finished 12th out of 33 go-karts. So not too bad. I would have liked to have been a little faster. It would have been really nice to see how well I would have done with one other tooth on my on my sprocket. I think I would have maybe got a couple more tenths. Might have been able to crack the top 10. Who knows? But that's it. Watch for the Legends races. They're coming up soon.